Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining. My name is Jill Markajon, and tonight I'm going to talk about limiting beliefs. So I added this extra little slide in here for a couple reasons. Sometimes I think when we're new, people just say their name real quick, and then we're like, I don't really know them at all. So you never know why you connect with people, but also because the topic I'm sharing on tonight is something I talk about all the time. So I'm a Plexus ambassador. It's been almost 5 years. I am a senior gold. I'm a wife. I have 3 kids, and I'm a nationally board certified clinical mental health counselor. I work at a local middle school. So I talk about this with students all the time. And if I can handle it walking through some adolescents, aged kids with it, then we got it, we'll get this down too. So I wanted to talk about limiting beliefs. Like I said, I have to just move my little picture here. Limiting beliefs are thoughts or states of mind that you think or you take as an absolute truth, and it prevents you from doing certain things. They're typically false beliefs, and they stand in the way of our goals and desires. Sometimes we're aware of them, and sometimes we're not. Sometimes other people are more aware than we are. They're usually a result of a cognitive distortion, which that can lead to anxiety, stress, and depression. But the good news is we take control of our thoughts. They don't control us. I always tell the middle school kids, like, you find what you focus on. So focus on what you want to find. The example that I give to them is when you first get a car, I got a white van and I realized how many people drive white vehicles, which is true. A lot of people do. But if I bought a yellow car, I would probably realize that there's people who drive a lot of yellow cars too. And I don't even notice them now. And it's because that's what I choose to focus on. So when we choose to focus on the positive and the good and the things that we want to happen, then that's what we're going to find. So I want to go over cognitive distortions real quick. It's something I do every year with my middle schoolers. And I'm going to just try to give some quick examples. So there's more than just these types, but these are the 12 types that I happen to go over with my students. There's all or nothing thinking. This is when you just think in black and white. There's no in between. Things are either wonderful or terrible. You're never going to have just an okay day. Catastrophizing is when you assume the worst in all situations. This is when people make a mountain out of a molehill, but all the time. Like, not just exaggerate here and there, everything they say. You're like, that's probably not really that bad. The opposite of that is minimizing. And it's when you ignore how big a problem really is, disregard important feelings or experiences. And with the students, we always tell them, like, if we tell you that maybe you're, not doing so hot in school and it's September, you can be like, oh, it's fine. It's great. But if it's April and I tell you, hey, it's not looking like you're doing so great in school, you might not pass the 7th grade. And you're like, oh, it's fine. I'm good. And I'm like, you haven't done a single assignment all year and you haven't passed anything. You're not going to be good. But a student who's minimizing or an adult who's minimizing is saying, it's really not that bad. Overgeneralization is when we think one situation applies all the time. This is most common. You're going to hear the words always and never in conversation. I remember probably in our premarital counseling when they said, like, don't have in an argument with each other, don't say you always do this because immediately it's not going to be true, or you never do this is probably not going to be true either. So I always tell students, like, that's a great giveaway that somebody's overgeneralizing, but we can do that obviously without using those words too, right? I think it would apply to business if you say, like, reach outs are just so tough, they don't go well. That's a generalized statement. It's not even about something specific. It's about reach outs, but it's not about specific reach outs. And I think that most people would probably say, I never hear from anyone. So again, those keywords. Mental filter is when you pick out a negative detail and focus on that instead of anything positive. So as I was preparing for this, I thought, I hope I don't, like, trip over any of my words, like catastrophizing is always a word that when I taught it to the middle schoolers, I tripped up every time, but it led to the perfect example for mental filter. Cause I said, if all I remember after this presentation is that I tripped up on this word, and I forget about everything that I taught you. And the fact that I probably gave them something to remember, all I want to focus on is the one thing that went wrong instead of everything that goes right. And I think that we do that a lot. Um, Jumping to conclusions, and my daughter wanted to point out that mind reading is very similar. So, jumping to conclusions is when we interpret things negatively when there's no facts to support it. Whenever we have a thought, we take control of that. Like the Bible tells us, take captive every thought. We have the ability and the power to take control of every thought. But also sometimes we just need to recognize it first. So when you have a thought of like, um, it's different because we're not often face to face with each other. But I told my students, like, if you're walking in the hallway and you say hi to somebody and they don't say hi back, you're probably going to be like, ooh, they must be mad at me. Like, I wonder what I did. The fact of the matter is they might not have heard you. Or, I usually used myself and another teacher, and I said, they're probably thinking about, their stressful morning or the test they're giving or whatever. And they don't even realize they didn't say hi to me. And I've spent all day thinking they're mad at me because I jumped to the conclusion for them. Mind reading is assuming someone's thinking negatively about you without proof. So, my daughter's not wrong. They're very similar. If you think, oh, this person always responds real short to me in their answers, like they answer me, but it's just one or two sentences or one or two words. It doesn't feel very personable. They must not really like me very well. Well, where's the validation of that? Like, what kind of proof do you have for that? And um, honestly, what other people think of you is none of our business, right? That's one of my favorite sayings, especially at middle school. Fortune telling is predicting when things will turn out badly. So if I prepared, as I was preparing for this, if I thought of everything that could go wrong, and that puts you like in a negative space and that cloud over your head that things are going to go wrong. So cognitive distortions, like my daughter was like, but couldn't you pretend like envision things going well? And I said, yeah, but that's not going to be a distortion, a cognitive distortion. It's when our thinking is messed up. Um, Imagining things going well would just be having a positive mindset. Emotional reasoning is assuming your own negative emotions about something reflect the way it really is. Did my screen just mess up for you guys? Let's see. Okay. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, goodness. Let me see.
Looks like it might be your internet connection.
Coming back. I wonder if I had too many things open. Okay. Is it still sharing for you guys? Oh, perfect. Um, so emotional reasoning, I have to show you guys. My daughter, I have these printouts from when I taught it, and she put little pictures on it. And so she wrote, I hate math. That means that math sucks for everyone. I was like, oh, okay. But that is the perfect example. If I said reach outs are really hard, I struggle with talking to new people, and I just assume that's true for everybody, but it's not. That's just me taking my emotions of something and making it just a generalized statement. Should statements, if you, Brooke Knitz is not the only person who's ever said it, but I thought it was her for the longest time. She will say, stop shooting on yourself, or we have to stop shooting ourselves. And eighth graders love that I say that. But it's true. We can't think about what we should have done or shouldn't have done. Just focus on what we do. And if something needs to change, then what we're going to do, right? Like, I will do this, not regretting what we did or didn't do. Labeling, uh, this is huge for adolescents and children and adults. It's when we assign a label to ourselves instead of the situation. So with students, it's easy to say when you fail a test, you think you're a failure, but how about when we don't hit our goal, right? Like I wanted to earn that cup last month and I didn't earn it. And there's always a split second that I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like, nope, it's fine. It's a cup. It's 1 month. Like I have to talk myself out of it quickly. but it would be easy to say, I failed at that goal because I'm a failure. And I think that it happens so quickly that if we don't recognize these distortions, it takes over and then we go on a downward spiral. And the last one that I just teach on is personalization. When you hold yourself responsible for situations not in your control. So I'll show you her little picture again too. She drew little parents fighting and a kid saying it's all her fault. Like, I love that she understands this so well, but I said for our businesses, when people stop responding to you or when they don't reorder or they just quit, and we're like, oh my gosh, I should have done something different. I should have, right? Done something different. Or what did I do wrong? And a lot of times it has nothing to do with us. It's this time isn't theirs. And I mean, it's not our fault. Oh, the cup is this month. I meant the little coffee cup, but I do want that big cup too. So anyway, limiting beliefs can smack us in the face. They come from a series of no's. If you're doing the business and you're reaching out to people and everybody's telling you no, it's very easy to be like, oh my gosh, and have any of these things take over our mindset, especially if we're not thinking about it. I mean, not aware of it. I wrote it comes from 1 million excuses and it's impacted by others' negative views. When you're doing reach outs to new people and they're questioning like the ingredients or, you know, why is your product better than somebody else's or any of the negative, like not just inquiring, but like negative connotation with things kind of make us have a limiting belief. And then I said, have you ever felt that? Because it's normal. It's normal to be like, oh my gosh, I should do something different. This is my fault. If I was a better leader, I would have a better team growing. If I was saying all the right things, I would have more momentum. It's totally normal to feel that way. And these thoughts can come and go because we don't have to stay there. And when we're talking with people on our team, if you have a team that you're leading and they feel this way, it's important to help them know, like, I understand your thoughts and we have to work on the posture to get you through it. Because we need people to realize like this is going to happen. I say this in a slide or two, and help them walk through it. And if you are just getting started and you're like, oh my goodness, your upline is going to help you walk through this, or your sideline, whoever you have a great relationship with, because anybody who's been doing this for like, I'm going to say 2 months, but we'll say 3, has probably experienced this. So I had an example from actually another call that I was listening to. Like somebody comes in hot, they add their 3 people right away because they come in, they're like, my mom, my best friend, my aunt are going to do this with me. And they're like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. And I remember actually, I did not come in that hot doing it, but I do remember like I hit silver kind of quickly and then senior silver, I guess, was new when I hit it, but it was pretty quick. And I remember being on a call with Allison, probably Allison, Randy, and Brandy, or it was 3 separate calls, but I do distinctly remember driving home from work and saying that, well, like maybe I'd just be a jewel by the end of the year. I mean, I had no idea that it wasn't always just add 3 or 6 more and then you're there. So when somebody comes in and they have quick success, it can create a false strength with them. And then when they face the objections, the reason they need to know that it's normal is because it's going to cause discomfort. If there's somebody who's always winning, right? Maybe they haven't experienced a lot of discomfort, a lot of no's in life in general, then they don't know how to work through that. Which it's funny how much I relate my job with middle schoolers to my Plexus job because I even just said, I have a co-counselor who's there part-time. And I said, we really need to work with these 7th graders on disappointment because they don't know how to come back from not making the team or not getting the grade they thought they should get or not achieving what they set out to achieve because they're a group of high achievers. But isn't that us too? Like we have to learn how to come back from our disappointment. So I said, we need to teach our people that objections are normal. People don't know how to handle the struggle and disappointment, and we have to teach them. And sometimes we teach them through sharing an experience that's not related to Plexus at all. So some of the objections that people hear all the time, there's way more than this, I'm sure, but the common ones are it's too expensive, it's a pyramid scheme, I have no time. People don't need to lose weight. I don't know anyone. I really don't know what to do with it. They have a bad mindset. They may not give you that objection, but you can tell. Or they have a lack of belief in the products, in themselves, in the business, in something. So I'm just going to address two of them for time's sake. It's so expensive. They're saying that because they don't value it yet. The same people who say that are usually loving their Starbucks or vacations, showing their Stanley Cup. And you're like, $40 for a cup? I mean, don't get me wrong. Stanley's nice. My daughter has one. But like, if they're saying I don't have money for Plexus, but then they're showing off their Target haul, you're like, you would have money for Plexus if you kind of reorganized it a little bit. So they just don't see the value in it yet. And that's okay. We need to not talk costs with them and we need to show them the value. The right questions with people open up conversations. In my example that I'm going to show you is about all the things Triplex could do. So if somebody wants to lose weight, you ask them, how much are you looking to lose? Instead of just, oh yeah, our weight loss bundle is this much. Well, how much do you want to lose? What else have you tried to lose weight? What else has you not feeling your best? How about your energy? Let's talk about that. The reason you ask these other questions unrelated to weight loss is because you're now going to tap into the other things that are bothering them and showing them that this expense is about their quality of life improving and it's no longer just about weight loss. We want to get to the core of their struggles, not just the one reason. Usually the one thing people are coming to you for or discussing with you is like just the tip of the iceberg. And once you talk more, you realize that there's so much more going on. Maybe that's causing those things. Um, so this was again from a different call I was on, but I just love the wording so much. I wanted to share it here in case you guys want to screenshot it or whatever. It would be great verbally though, like voice message or a call with somebody. I'm not going to lie. I would love to help you out. I'd love to find out exactly what we can do to fix this situation. The coolest thing is you can try this, any of these programs for up to 2 months. I wrote, or can get all your money back. I probably meant if it doesn't work, you can get all your money back. Listen, let's get you feeling better. I'm going to be here the whole way. We're going to link arms and figure out exactly how to fix your struggles. I'm here for you. This takes it away from, oh, you want to lose weight? Oh, yeah, this can help you lose maybe up to 6 pounds in 3 days. And then we'll see what the gut health system does for you. And I'll check in with you. This is caring about them as a person and saying, we're going to walk through this together and I'm here for you. And that's really what people want, is to feel they're not alone. A lot of times, the reason I think that MLMs get a bad rap and especially people are scared to do reach outs is because they're afraid that people are going to feel like, oh, I'm only talking to you to get you to buy something. Well, this is how you prove that that's not the case, because we're talking to them because we care about them and we want to help them. I mean, genuinely, all of us want to help the people we talk to, and we need to make sure that they feel that. Oh my. Okay. I'm too busy. I heard about a conversation before Roz started with Plexus between her and Celeste. And Roz kept blowing off Celeste by saying, I just don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm too busy. And Celeste said, I get it. But what if doing this gave you your time back? And Roz was like, okay. She said, I rolled up my window and drove home, but could not stop thinking about that because what if that doesn't leave people? If you hear, what if this would work? You're like, what if it would? We're lying to ourselves when we don't have time. We're lying to ourselves if we don't have time to get on this call. We're lying to ourselves if we don't have time before we started Plexus. We all have time for things. We're not making it a priority. And I know I'm not the only person who's probably seen like that quote going around. Instead of saying, I don't have time, it's I didn't make time, or I didn't prioritize it, or I just didn't care enough. Because we find time to binge watch TV, hit snooze in the morning, scroll on Facebook. I mean, we find time in little pockets sometimes, but we find time for things. We can find time for this. So what do? We turn objections around. We tell our story. If you've been around Plexus for a little bit, you know that people always say the feel, felt, found method. And I remember when I first started, I was like, oh, I actually never told Allison this, but I remember going, oh, did she do that to me? Right? Did she make me feel like she related to me so that I would buy in? The fact of the matter is she didn't do that to me. She related to me and shared her story. And that's what we want to do, is share our story. And maybe my story doesn't relate to somebody I'm talking to, but guarantee you somebody within Plexus, it relates to them. So great question I love is what is frustrating you the most right now? And maybe it's something Plexus can help. And maybe what's frustrating them the most is has nothing to do with what you think Plexus is going to be the answer for. But that question, especially if it's not related to Plexus, is going to help them know that you care. And then when they do want to talk about weight loss or whatever, they're going to come back to the person who just wanted to know what was going on. So one of my favorite quotes from a psychologist that I love reading, it's not her quote. She got it from Ram Dass, and he says, "We're all just here walking each other home." And that's true. Like we all want to be walked home by other people. We all want to know people are there for us, and everybody we talk to is wants people there for them too. I always say, like, we don't know, we only know what people share, right? I can come on and be like, yeah, I had a great day. And maybe I did not have this bad of a day, but maybe I had a terrible day. Maybe my car got totaled, my kid's in the hospital. You don't know unless I actually share that with you. By the same token, people are like, man, things are terrible. It's really bad. We also don't know, and it could be, it's not just people that we don't know that well. It's even your best friend. We only know what other people share with us. So I always try to just be somebody that people want to share with. And I lean into people that I want to share with. So anybody have anything that they'd like to share about limiting beliefs?
Not
I'll just say I
necessarily to
love
share about
everything you
that.
shared.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Christy.
no, I just wanted to tell her I just love everything that she shared. I took some screenshots and that was really good. Thank you, Jill.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yes, that's pretty much what I was gonna say. I didn't have a limiting belief thing, but that was awesome. I had to drive really quick, so I had to just listen most of the time, but it was amazing.
It's all, it's all helping me a lot because trying to talk to somebody on messages or in person, I really struggle. But with this mindset book and this tonight is really helping me. And I have stepped out of my comfort zone and talked to a lady at the gym today and
Oh,
talked to a neighbor of my dad's.
Good.
For you, Kathy.
way to go.
It's open. I'll get there.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
And for what it's
You're
worth,
doing great.
yes. Sorry. For what it's worth, I did totally kind of use the feel, felt, found method on you, Jill. But the whole point is when you're doing it right, it's literally a tool to help you relate. It's not manipulative. It's not anything bad or weird. It's literally just a tool that helps you relate to people so that they feel heard and understood and, guided, basically. And that, because I use it for everything. I use it with my kids. I use it with my husband. Like, I get it. I know how you feel. Okay. Like it's just a relational tool. So,
Exactly.
because I've wondered the same thing. I'm like, oh, I bet they use that on me. And I'm like, who cares? If it's a relational thing and it made me feel good, I don't care.
That's true. What I was going to say about mindset and belief is, as a leader and as someone trying to grow and reach more and share more, the confidence is behind our energy. And so I would say before you go to do your reach outs or before you go to do your posts, instead of just doing it like it's a checking off of the box, get in a mindset of belief, who you are and what you have to offer to people and what you have to give to people. And before you're messaging them, like see them joining you, see them, being interested, seeing them, listening to what you're saying and see yourself being in confidence. It can sound a little woo woo, but it's so important just for our minds and our brains and our hearts to know, that we have a purpose in this. And a lot of times just mindset and belief before we are reaching out to somebody can totally shift, the response, because if you're going into it having junk on your mind and heart from, this person said no and this person was mean to me and nobody wants to join me and I feel like nobody's listening to me. You know, if you have
Yeah.
all that crappy attitude, it's gonna be put out there to somebody else. So it's really important
Absolutely.
that we take the time. And I mean, the easiest thing that you can do too is wake up and start your day with gratitude
Mhm.
and just start your entire day on a good foot. And, you know, if you need to, take some time before you're doing these actions too.
Yeah. I often think, we've all been like to the grocery store or whatever, and sometimes somebody's checking you out and they're like, yeah, thanks, have a good day. And I'm like, dang, what is wrong with them today? Or the opposite, when somebody's like, oh my gosh, like a Chick-fil-A person, right? They make you feel like they're so happy that you are there, not that they're going to feel that way for the person behind you, even though you know they do. You feel like it's genuinely about you. And I always think if that's how people make me feel when I'm shopping, I want to make sure I make people feel that way. Not even like when I'm at the store, I want to smile at people when I pass them. If I like somebody's shirt, I'm always like, oh, hey, excuse me, I like your sweater. And they're like, thanks. So, um, but that keeps me in a good mindset because I like when other people make me feel good. So I want to make other people feel good. But you're right, Sarah. And like I said in the beginning, we find what we focus on. So getting yourself in the right mindset first. I love how you said like visualizing them saying yes and joining you. We're not, that's not going to make it work every time, right? It's not like a magic 8 ball, but it gets us so that we keep working the steps that we need until that becomes the reality. And sometimes the first person we talk to will say yes, and sometimes it'll be the 100th person we talk to. But if we keep talking, like the book said today, we don't have to, oh gosh, I wish I had my book in front of me. We don't have to have all the steps. We just have to see the pattern. It's like at the end of the people one, I think. So if you are not reading Mind Shift with us, you have to. It's phenomenal. Sarah put in the chat the sermon he did on it, and it looks like there's a couple of them, but it was so good. So if you're not a part of that already, join us. And I'm going to go ahead and end this recording because I know we're going to be out of time soon.